Hey, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Let's take a look at things. Up here, I'm fully calibrated, and the one means tomorrow morning I have to do a site change for my sensor. Currently sitting at 7.8, but probably higher because I have the arrow going up. I have 1.4 units of active insulin still in, and I went down at around 2:33 o'clock. It went down to 3.8. So I don't think that did great for my time in range. Let's take a look so far. Time in range, 96%. I don't know when this is going to change, but it's already at 4 and we started the day at 3. 96%, I have 0 above 10 millimoles. Where 96 is a hell of a lot better than where I was a couple of days ago. So all in all, this is looking a lot better. Let's take a look. I recently changed, so I have 278 units of insulin. I have my battery fairly charged. My transmitter is at 59%. That will go up tomorrow. Hopefully, by the time I do one, it may be a little bit later in the day when I do it tomorrow, do my chat, because tomorrow is site change and I've been sleeping a little bit later lately. Okay, everything's working. That one again tells you how many hours I have. I have 18 hours left on this sensor. So tomorrow morning, we're just gonna get up, change it, and move on. It's better to change your sensors earlier in the day. Now, while we're talking about that, today I want to talk to you about, where is it? There it is. This little device right here. Slip down. We're going to discuss my pump and pump care that you should be doing for your pump. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Okay, I'm going to use my Medtronic 780G pump as an illustration here. The 780G pump, the Omnipod, or the T-Slim, I think they call the other one, all pretty well do the same mechanics. They may have a different program. For example, the Omnipod, you actually wear the pod with the insulin on your system, and you're not attached by tubing. For me personally, the tubing works the best. Now, first thing, let's go and talk about the tubing, since I brought it up already. You have two little parts to this. First of all, you have your reservoir, which holds the insulin. Omnipod, the reservoir, is the part that you wear. T-Slim is pretty much the same idea. There may be minor things in between all the pumps, but they all pretty well work the same, except for the Omnipod, as I mentioned. This comes into two different points. We have the reservoir, and then we have the tubing. Now, I'm not going to show you my insertion site because no one wants to see that. But so that I keep getting my insulin, I'm going to make sure that we put it in there and we twist. Now on my Omnipod, it has this here, and over here under my silicone cover, we have I don't know if you can see it there, we have a battery cap. The battery cap has to be in line with this. So make sure you read your instructions for your various pumps. This whole, the tubing, the reservoir, and the insertion site all have to be changed every 3 days. If you don't, you're going to end up with the chance for infections. Excuse me for a sec. Now, if you've had diabetes for any time at all, you know that infections are something that you don't want. Excuse me while I just bring this up so I look more in the eye. There we go. So keeping your tubing changed is appropriate every 3 days. Remember that. No more than 3 days. If you want to do it 2 days or even 1 day, that's fine, but no more than 3. Now, another point that's pretty much the same as if you use syringes or pens is you want to keep your pump rotating, your sights rotating. For me, I like the pumps on my stomach or on my legs, somewhere centered. If you go in your arms, it works perfectly fine, but chances are you can end up with it being pulled out or knocked off. Doesn't matter whether it's the Medtronic, the T-Slim, or the Omnipod, that's all pretty standard. So keep this going. Make sure you rotate it. Another point you have to mention. There is sometimes where your little part that goes into your skin can get kinked. If this is the case, you're not getting insulin. You want to make sure, if this is your skin, you want to make sure the cannula is nice and straight down. If it gets pulled out and is kinked, you're going to run into higher blood sugars. Good rule of thumb is if your blood sugars are high 2 times in a row, and especially if you start showing ketones, it's time to change your site. And it's time to change your site right then and there. It's not sort of a thing, oh, I can change my site when I get home. Because they have said that diabetics can end up going into ketoacidosis within 2 hours. That's something you don't want to get. Now, just for this little episode, let's review DKA. 1, you're incredibly thirsty. For me, thirst can start happening if I get around 13. That's when I start really drinking and wanting to drink more and more. Second is you're very tired. For me, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, let me go do this. At work, I would try to get away from not washing the floor and hoping no one will notice type thing. You just don't have the energy. The big one, and this is a really big one, is if you have stale juicy fruit or stale wine smell emanating in your breath, then you're probably showing ketones. get a ketone test, do a ketone test. Use your glucometer to check your blood sugars. If they start showing high on your CGM here, double check. I know I said that with the Dexcom and soon with the Medtronic Guardian 4 sensor, you won't have to calibrate. But if you're getting different numbers to the way you feel, do a finger poke, just to confirm to yourself that you have taken the proper steps. DKA is a serious thing. Don't put yourself into jeopardy. Don't sort of push it off saying, oh, well, I'll take insulin when I go on my next break, or I'll change the site then. Because chances are you're going to mess up, you're going to forget. I know where I worked in a grocery store, it was you had to be there at a certain time, you had to get back from breaks. There really was no excuse because the next person had to have their break, and I'm just showing you how things can be put off course. 2 blood sugars higher than 14, change your site. Just confirm and change your site. Now, what happens if you're out? I'm out, I'm busy. Get an emergency bag. It can be in your purse, it could be in your briefcase, everything you'll need to do a site change. For me, and I've mentioned this before, I have a black knapsack which I take, which says diabetic emergency kit on it. Make sure you have these items and that you always are with them. I know so often when I started doing this, and this was back when I was on needles, but same difference, I would go to work and suddenly forget, oh my God, I didn't have insulin and I ate. If you have the insulin with you, you're able to do a quick shot and everything can just go on its merry way. It's a way to make sure diabetes does not interfere with your life. The pump is here to help, but you have to take care of it. Make sure you keep your battery power up. For mine, they use a AA Ford Tandem. I believe it's a AA, don't quote me exactly. Omnipod, I think it's a charge system where you have to plug in it has a system kind of like your phone. And for me, I just didn't like the idea of carrying around the phone. I know I'd lose it. It wasn't the best. With Medtronic, everything I need is right here. But this isn't necessarily an ad for Medtronic. I'm just illustrating the differences. Now, we've talked about tubing or pods. We've talked about keeping things so that you don't end up in DKA. If you need to calibrate, you should calibrate once in the AM, once in the PM type thing, twice a day at least. If you do more, that's great. If you're with the Omnipod Guardian 3, which in Canada, wrong way, we only have Guardian 3 right now, you have to calibrate twice a day. Hopefully soon, new ones are coming out, and therefore we can keep things going. we've talked about sensor changes, tubing changes. Make sure you stand it. Don't try to extend life, because chances are you're going to open yourself up to infection, or you're going to start getting toughened skin. And I did have some tough skin on my stomach for a while and just stopped using the site, and I was lucky to say it dissipated. That may not be the case. You're going to have to, if this goes off with an alarm, you're going to have to investigate. If it's showing high and you're saying, it can't be high, I just took insulin, I just did a finger poke, it doesn't agree with it. Well, you may need to change your sensor. This will give you information, but if you don't keep up with it, what's the point of the pump? Any new diabetic technology that comes on the market, everybody has to have it. Oh God, they have to have it, and which is great for the companies. But if you're not going to use it, don't purchase it. Don't purchase the pump to say, hey, I've got this neat pump and you don't have it yet. Well, what's the point of that? What are you trying to say? Now, some basic cleaning, I just use a slight alcohol wipe, or I've heard people that use wet wipes to just wipe it off. It's the watertight, so technically you can wear it in the shower. I don't wear my pump in the shower. I just don't want any. I take it off and then I put it on. I've even gone so far that I time how much time I've been without it and figured out my basal rate before and would give that much insulin back. It was only a couple of units, if that. But now, the basal rate will just take corrections because I've got the closed loop system. Omnipod is not a closed loop system by itself. There's no magic little sensor that goes with the Omnipod or the T-Slim. They use the Dexcom sensors. But remember, you're going to have to change them. And I can tell you one thing, that once you get to the point where you can press, see what your blood sugar is, life is going to change for you. It's great to have this. I can remember looking at an old magazine and seeing an ad, actually, I think it was from Medtronic, and their sensors, and I thought, who would wear another device? Well, now I'm a convert. But you have to utilize, keep things organized, keep it clean. So, site changes every 3 days. Keep your insulin full. For mine, I don't know how much the Omnipod carries. With Medtronic, you can have 3 milliliters or 1.8 milliliters, depending on how much insulin you utilize. I use the 3. I just like the idea that I don't want to change sites more than 3 times a day. The systems are going to be collecting information. You need to take a look at the information. You need to decipher it to make suggestions so that you know when to call your doctor. You know how your diabetes is actually happening, how you're improving happening. Yeah, I know I can get my diabetes happening or not. Doesn't work well. The insulin pumps are a great device. If you utilize it correctly, clean it, change your sites, it can work for you for years. I've had, mine usually last about 5 years, but I think that's only because warranty wears out and eventually, a new, more advanced pump came out. My second pump, my first pump was Nordisk, I believe, had a pump. I could be wrong by the company name, but they were out of Denmark. And that one I had for 2 years, I think. And then you couldn't find the insulin anymore. So I stopped utilizing and went back to shots. My next pump I had for years until I went to my diabetic clinic and they said, "Oh, can I have your pump to do a reading?" Well, I gave them my pump. We can't read this. So eventually we got onto another pump, and every 5 years since then, I've been having a pump. And it's the best sort of thing. So, if you are able with insurance to get a pump in BC, the province of British Columbia here, you can get a pump if you meet the requirements. Same pretty much across the whole country. It's cheaper for diabetics to take better control of themselves, and the best control has been with the pump. The pump is becoming more and more the gold standard, which means that that's probably the best control you can get. However, let me clarify here. If you're still on syringes or you're still on pens and you're getting excellent control and you don't want a pump, that's fine. No one's forcing you and saying, "Oh no, the only way you're going to get good control is with a pump." People like me who have been problematic, oh well. The pump is the best thing. Take care of it, it'll take care of you. I hope you enjoyed my 1111th video since starting this channel. And with that, hope you're having a great day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. My next vlog topic will be Hey, it's Mike again. Just to remind you that tomorrow's video we're going to be discussing Dex 4 tablets, and I'm going to do kind of a little product review. Do they work? What about the taste? When can we utilize them? How many do we need? All sorts of that information we'll be discussing tomorrow. Have a great day. We'll talk again soon. Bye. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.